Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to another Big Hairy News, the last live Big Hairy News for 2023. But we are not stopping. There'll be lots of content happening between now and when we come back. We'll tell you about that later on in the show. And it's a very good evening to Chewy, and it's a very good evening to our last fan favourite of the year for our last live show, Martyn Bomber Bradbury. Kia ora, sir, and welcome.
Comrades.
We put it out to the punters, if you're not aware of this, Bomber, and said, who do you want? Let's try and get a fan favorite every night of the week for the last show. And you were definitely up there. And so we asked you to come on, and you came on, and we're thankful for it. So thanks for being involved with us this year. Thanks for all the behind the scenes kind of solidarity and advice and support. It's actually been phenomenal for me, especially when we've been talking, because Chewy doesn't care. That's why I said for me especially. Yeah, it's been great. It's been great to reconnect, and it's been great to push this thing forward in our own way all together. So thank you.
It's just, I mean, it's a privilege to be on the show, gentlemen. I think that you're doing God's work. I think that the need for a fourth estate that and a critical place where thinking can be done is so important now, especially after this terrible election result, which has just brought forward such a hard right racist government who are implementing culture war revenge fantasies, not social policy, and nothing they have proposed is going to solve the enormous problems this country has. And when you look at next year and the kind of very serious geopolitical tensions that are about to erupt in areas that we trade in and we ship things through, I just think our economy is ripe for a real tumble. And I think that the solutions that the right, this hard right racist government will ram through in panic will amputate and damage communities that I live in, that you live in, that we have friends in whānau who live in. Some of our brothers and sisters are about to go through some of the most extreme bloody times of their life with the cutbacks. Yeah. And if you look at the way that they are targeting renters, workers, the environment, prisoners, beneficiaries, I mean, it's just and Māori, it's just a romper stomper of toxic, reactionary ZB talking points, but actually implemented as social policy. It's farcical.
It sure is grim, and with some of the other guests that we've had this week, I've certainly put forward that view that it's an assault. Like, even in, on election night, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad, but everything's very centrist and all of that sort of thing. I'm sure it'll come out in the wash. We'll have lots of content to talk about. Won't be that bad. And then they come out of the gates with some of the most horrific, telegram-based policy,
draconian.
Yeah, and do you know what was good though, Bomber? Right, like when we spoke to Chloe this week, and we spoke to Moana last night, and they both said a very similar thing. They said that this is going to coalesce communities.
Absolutely.
This is, where everybody thinks they're on their little Facebook island or whatever. This is going to make people reach out, find other people like them, unite, organize, march together, all of that sort of thing. And the more I've thought about that this week, I think Chloe said, if it feels overwhelming, then reach out and make a positive impact in something that you have control over.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and for me, that's this, and you can scream into a
hang on,
Facebook void
hang
or
on,
whatever.
hang on. Are you the one in control of this? Do you have? Is that how it works?
God, no. Nobody wants me in control of
Okay.
anything. We've discussed this. I have lists. Nobody wants me in control of anything. But you've got to feel that you're moving the needle somehow, and that can be as small as going to a community group or making some positive change, or just saying, hey, look, I'm out here and I think this thing. Is there anybody else out there like me? It can be as big as organizing for a local organizer, or going on a pro-Palestinian march, right up to really agitating for a candidate or that sort of thing. It's what's ever in your influence, you can change something. And that's certainly better than going, fuck, well, I can't stop the war in Ukraine, and I can't stop the war in Gaza, and there's absolute demons in control of our government, and it's all just too much. So,
look!
yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, and that's always a reminder of just why Chloe and Moana are just such. I mean, I think Moana is one of the best public broadcasters this country has, and I believe that Chloe is just one of the future prime ministers this country would be just blessed to have. They are absolutely right. It is only through, and you're right. I think I think a lot of people voted National because they just wanted to shake they wanted some sensibleness and thought some things were a bit wacky. But ultimately, they just voted National with the hope of getting a 10% increase in their house price. They were not buying this culture war shit. They were not buying I mean, they are embarrassed at the QAnon level nuttiness that has been implemented thanks to Winston now being the king of the conspiracy swamp kingdom, and Winston's throwing out this raw meat bloody policy to his nutty feral lunatic fringe groups who love him to death. He's throwing this chum out, and the National Party are just balking in horror. They just want to get back to making money. They didn't want any of this. So I think the shockwave of how far right it is, you're right, it will galvanize people. It will force the left to bloody work together. And those people who didn't vote, who just went, oh, screw it, I just can't, my heart's broken because it was so incremental, Labour were. My heart's broken, so incremental. They didn't vote. Oh, they're voting next year, because what these guys have done in barely a month is crazier than we've seen in decades,
I don't like, but the idea about, I've heard this word quite a lot, and I think Moana said it last night as well, but Chewy said, other people said it, about the unserious nature of these political people, the unserious nature of what they're actually doing with so many holes. Even today, right? Even today, when we hear about this ban on trans athletes. Now, I'm someone who thinks, there's a conversation to be had at an Olympic level. There are biologists and physiologists and allies within the community and spokespeople for the LGBT. There's a conversation to be had, but to come out and say we're going to ban trans athletes basically from any sport with public funding, from weekend sport, from social sport, and to give the stupid ass reason that it's for safety and it's for fairness. So straight away I go, okay, so that means mixed indoor netball can no longer exist. Look at the Wookiee. Because mixed indoor netball is not fair. Males have a massive advantage in that game. What about the girl who lives up in Kurau who wants to follow her hero, Richie McCaw, to be a rugby player, but all of a sudden that 9-year-old girl's only got a bunch of boys to play with. She can no longer do it. Because technically, if you're going to ban trans athletes from having fun in the weekends in their sport, amateur stuff, then you can't let the 9-year-old girl play with the boys. It comes under the same ruling. The holes are so big to drive trucks through in what they're putting through. It is unbelievably stupid. And we've used this quote that you gave us last time, Bomber, quite a lot about David Seymour. If you open up the door, whatever you break, you own. Luxon, whatever breaks with this transgender thing, you fucking own, mate. You put them in. It's on you. You own it.
Look, look. This is so cruel and needless and spiteful. Look, we may have disagreements about how the trans community and their allies have gone about demanding their rights. You may argue that the militancy and the cancel culture stuff has not helped, that the trans joy business and the Posey Parker, all of that has made this debate so radioactive and polarizing. And you may not like the tactics. Look, you can have a debate about that, and you can have a debate about biological woman only spaces and the sisters allowing the trans community and you can have those debates, and they're debates that are worthy of having. But what we are talking about here is community level sports. We're talking one of the basic building blocks of our social cohesion. People getting out and training and interacting with each other and all playing by the same rules, and the energy and the beauty and the inclusivity of sport. It's the inclusivity. Now, your local sporting guild will have worked these issues out, and there are thorny issues, let's be honest, and we want it all to be fair. But to just come in with the jackboot of the state and to kick the trans community in the face and say you don't actually exist, we're going to erase you from public sporting. I mean, this isn't New Zealand. This is beneath the mana of sport. This is beneath the mana of us as a people, and it's a bullshit virtue signal to Winston's conspiracy swamp monsters.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with reality, and it is such a punch in the guts that this sort of stupid shit is actually going to be made policy. You know.
Yeah.
See, I want to go back to the glory days where Foster was just a really shit mayor. And instead of someone bringing in this demon policy that is policy looking for a problem trying to solve a problem that doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah, that's it, Chewie.
It's 0.14% of the population.
But even that, like I think like
bodies themselves could do. It's like,
but that's what the last government did.
Right?
Yeah, the last government said give it to the sporting bodies. Those are the ones who know. My 17-year-old, 16-year-old played netball this year, and they played in a mixed grade, and you could see that the guys were like almost dunking the ball in the netball thing. And even I kind of went, is that really? And my kids were like, yeah, it's all good. This is how we play. So they had decided that it was all good. So at a community level, if you decide that, yeah, anyone can play in this game because it's a community non-competitive sport, then the community goes, cool. And the government's going, we're ultimate nanny state. We're going to tell you what you can do in your community. Sorry, we're going to make the decision. It's ridiculous.
It's actually beyond nanny state. It's fascist state, right? We're excluding people from inclusion. We're going out of our way to say you're not actually part of the community.
Yeah,
that's erasure of an entire group of people, and I just think that is just such ugly and maliciously spiteful policy for no discernible reason.
Yeah, does nothing, absolutely nothing, other than eliminate, as you say, people from having some fun with their friends in the weekend.
Right? Who the fuck does that for shits and giggles? You know?
What I found funny, weird, stupid, all of the above. They kind of went like, oh, we're not affecting the top line sports people, you know, because those professional sporting bodies can make up their own minds. We're protecting women and girls and grassroots. And it's just like, how do you think those top line athletes got there? Did they just like, oh, I'm going for a run. Oh, fuck, I've won an Ironman. Fancy that. They start at grassroots stuff. If you cut out those people, you eliminate them from sport. You eliminate them from the thing that they're passionate. Fuck that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Hey, I thought we'd also have a look at the year back, boys, and see what you think of the year that's gone. Were there any highlights, lowlights? What are you going to take away from 2023?
I think that Jacinda Ardern was one of the most remarkable leaders we were ever lucky to have. I think that her ability to communicate and get us through COVID was just remarkable. The problem with Jacinda was she was incremental in the domestic policy and in reforming the neoliberal economic hegemony. She just didn't have the bold enough policies to be able to take the tax yoke off the poor people and put it on the rich. She wasn't able to do that. But we saw research this year that showed us her action saved 20,000 lives. And when she stood down at the beginning of the year, because we were such a shitty people, we broke her. Labour were good and could fight the COVID battle, but we lost the COVID piece. All their rebuilding back from COVID amounted to was going back to the same incrementalism. And that was never going to be able to work. And it broke a lot of people's hearts. They were looking for transformative change and housing and poverty and education, and we didn't get those. We got some first steps, and we also had a once in a century pandemic novel virus to contend with. But when Chippy came in and he had the opportunity to make some significant policy with a wealth tax that would have given every New Zealander $10,000 tax-free and would have gone after the rich pricks, the really rich pricks, not just people with an extra house, like really rich pricks, when he failed to do that, when he failed to do anything more meaningful than take GST or fresh fruit and vegetable, he didn't sound like he understood the pain of working people. He didn't sound like he understood the pain of people with that first house mortgage and those rates just going up and up and up and up. And it didn't sound like he understood their hurt. And so they didn't vote. And they turned, in some cases, to crazies who promised them all sorts of nonsense. So the election ended up being a grudge fuck against Labour, and people voted for something they really didn't know. Most people couldn't actually tell you what New Zealand First policy was, or ACT policy, or national policy. It was just I hate this. And we've ended up with a government that is bound only in its enthusiasm to hurt beneficiaries, renters, workers, and the environment. And I mean, we've gone from New Zealand into Q Zealand now that New Zealand First are injecting this insanity, this pure, like Telegram. It's like you could literally pick these policies up off Telegram, right? It's that nutty.
Yeah.
And I think
I've seen them. Herculating.
Yeah. Right. So I think this has been a terrible year, and it is one where the left really need to step back. And what are we here for? What are we actually doing? Because if we do not have the ability and the strength to tax the mega wealthy in the areas that they function in, be it a financial transaction tax, be it a ghost tax, be it a wealth tax, be it a capital gains tax, however, just have the balls to actually go after the buggers so that we can actually increase the capacity of the state, because the left has got to argue that we want a state that helps people and builds the nation, not tears it down and punishes them. And so we need that extra money to buy, not just more doctors, we need more hospitals, not just more teachers. We need more schools. We need infrastructure that's sustainable. I mean, we've got so many challenges coming our way, and this government has produced no solutions. Remember all the stuff that they have rammed through under urgency and repealed. They've got nothing to replace it with. So everything that we've just wiped of the last 6 years, they haven't replaced it with any policy. So we're going right back to 2017 and the same bloody problems. And for the 600,000 who are reliant on food banks every month, the 27,000 on social housing waitlists, the 300,000 in electricity poverty, for those people, time's running out. So I think there's going to be an enormous amount of bloody suffering next year, and it's going to be a real kick in the ass to a lot of us about having to bloody bond together and work together, because this government has to be resisted at all costs and on all fronts.
I can pinpoint the start of this terrible timeline that we're on, right? And I know you're glowing about Jacinda, and that's fair, but a little bit of a reality check. She did ask, and this is the most egregious thing any New Zealander's ever done to this country. She did ask people to be kind to each other. And really, that was the start of the rot. That was the start of the rot. That was too far. If I want to be a cunt to someone in a supermarket line, I should be able to. I want to park at a disabled car park. I want to burn my rubbish in a children's playground. How dare she? So I've started forming my own local brown shirts organization, and we're going to go from there. Follow me on Telegram. Peace out. As far as Chippy goes, I kind of see what he was trying to do, right? He saw everything that was directed at Jacinda. And I think very tactically he went, I am not Jacinda. And short of putting his penis on a desk to show everybody, he definitely went out and
his sausage roll. Is that what you mean? His
I'm going
sausage
to
roll
do
on
my
the desk?
own policy. I'm going to do my own policy. I'm not just Jacinda in slacks.
Yep.
But also there was an element of just everybody hold fast. Just don't do anything to tip the boat over.
Yeah.
Okay? Is everybody's investments in order? Please tell me.
Michael,
don't. Can we just no mental health, anything? Just freeze. Everybody knows that the electorate's vision is based on movement. Just he didn't go and sing. He didn't go and sing the government's praises. He didn't give anybody a vision of where we go from here. He might have had some idea of how the economic space was going to improve and that sort of thing. But what he couldn't communicate that out. He couldn't beat national bumper sticker policies that are just like whack it on the electorate's forehead. Don't ask them to peel it off and look what's on the back of it. That was enough. Tax cuts.
Yeah.
But shit's expensive. We're going to give you some money back. That's start. And then nobody looked at. Why would anybody look at New Zealand First policies? They weren't going to be there. Nobody expected that. Everybody went, nah, we're not dealing with Winston. We've all done that. It's bullshit. And then Luxon went, I'll just check my poll results before I answer that. And that was the crack that decrepit old skeleton needed to fucking come back. And that's what he's got. You had 8 months of him going coalition of chaos, and then we go, this is what you're talking about, you fucking shambles. He is bad at this.
Let me share something with you. You're talking about Winston Peters and that. I've got a favorite clip that I made from the year, and I made it today or yesterday, and I want to share it with you guys. Okay, this is a conversation me and Chewy had the other night. And I'm going to play it in 2 parts. We don't need to play the whole thing, but this is when we started talking and thinking about who Winston Peters is, Chewy. I've edited it slightly. See if you can see the edit.
What I say to that is we're committed to reducing the smoking rates and remain committed to doing that.
Do you know anything about the Ngāti Wai? You know who started the Ngāti Wai organisation? Who set the Ngāti Wai Land Retention Committee in 1974?
Oh my God. He is fucking impossible. Talk about bloviating. He sounds like that fucking teacher of Charlie Brown. Remember the teacher in Charlie Brown? The kids would be talking and all the teacher would be.
Yes, ma'am. We were playing hangman.
It's just ridiculous. Either answer a question or fuck off. So that's the first part of it. But this is my thought, Chewy. This is what I think we'll do from now on. See if you can pick up the subtle edit here.
Not when the ambition is still to drive down smoking rates.
The ambition is to drive down smoking rates. That's like saying, I have an ambition to drive from Dunedin to Christchurch next week. Why have you taken the engine out of your car? Well, no, it's okay, because I have an ambition to drive from Dunedin to Christchurch, but your car has no engine. Yeah, but I have an ambition to drive from Dunedin to Christchurch. In that car, the one with no engine, doesn't matter. I have an ambition to drive. That's how ridiculous it is, Joey.
Yeah.
30 is one of 2 doctors in National's midst.
Here we go. Did you pick the subtle edit? Did you pick the subtle? It's pretty subtle.
Barely perceptible.
Yeah.
I think that might be what we do with Winston from now on, maybe.
It's what the mainstream media need to do with him. It's just that or walk away. Like, I can translate that for you. I think he's blaming the Chinese somehow. Probably. Who knows? Historically, it's probably true.
I think what we need to take away from Winston's success is just how polarized New Zealand politics has become. because he's talking to a group of New Zealanders who have completely checked out, who have felt alienated culturally in their own country, and it's made them very angry and reactionary, and they're frightened, and they're looking to him, and he's their champion. And a lot of these people are getting their news from social media feeds. And a lot of these people aren't realizing that the algorithms are suppressing actual news journalism. They won't see Winston being interviewed by journalists. They'll see him on the platform. They'll see him on Reality Check Radio. And so the social media algorithms are feeding this polarized group of New Zealanders this mishmash of nonsense and QAnon conspiracy, and they're buying into it. They are lonely, and they're very resentful and spiteful. And this is a problem that we're going to see. And I think that what Winston will do is he'll actually gain more. Look, he'll go up with these numbers. Where the damage will be done is in the national voters just going, centrist national voters just going, oh, this is too crazy. I'm going back to Labour because this is nuts town. So that's the danger for the right. But for right now, he is speaking to his own people, his own electorate, and they're being served up algorithms of bloody ignorance. And this is a real problem for the entire democratic process in this country. If people don't believe in a fourth estate any longer and they're just following each other's mad rantings, we are in trouble. And it's going to be a space that the left are going to have to contest.
It's also, I think, going to be worse next year because we've got the American election coming up, and the American election and Donald Trump is where all of this don't trust the press has kind of come from. And that's going to be amplified in an extraordinary way next year. And I actually think it'll flow on to the Winston supporters of this world, because they'll be seeing it in their algorithms from America, and they'll be going, oh, let's do that here as well. Before we move to the next thing, I just wanted to say thanks, JC, for the super chat, but it's kind of to all three of us, but I wanted to share it. JC says, kia ora, comrades. You three play a crucial role in the pushback against the clowns. Thanks. You are right, Bomber. The left is coalescing. We will come back strong. In the meantime, we need y'all to keep up your legendary work. So that's from JC. I wanted to get that up there while you were still here, Bomber, because it's to you as well. So yeah, I think next year is going to be worse before it gets better.
Oh yeah, oh Lord, I think you've hit the exact issue. It is all around Trump, and because he is such a dangerously unhinged individual, and if you look at what he's planning to do with illegal residents, immigrants in America, the plans that got leaked for mass detention camps, a paramilitarization of ICE, it's the most fearful parts of a fascist state. And if you look at the language he's now using, he refers to his enemies as vermin who are poisoning the blood. These are the same lines that Hitler was using in Mein Kampf. If you look, it's not just a tragedy for America, but it will be a tragedy globally. Putin, I think we had all hoped that Putin, the great chess master, had blundered into a war in the Ukraine, and it's been a suffering and losing ever since. I don't think so. I think that Putin looked down the pantheon of great Russian leaders and he asked himself, how have I left great mother Russia? Is it stronger or is it weaker? And I don't think we've understood in the West that Putin's own deep Orthodox Christian beliefs and religion are actually quite cemented into him as a person. He sees himself as the true defender of the Christian faith. And so the attack and the push of his military into the Ukraine, I think he's done it on purpose. And I think he's done it specifically because Russia only becomes number one again in a world of chaos if he stays under the orders-based rule system. It was always going to be American hegemony. So he's playing for greatness now. He sees the 200, 300,000 that have been killed as a good start, right? When he looks at the millions that were lost by other Russian leaders, he's just getting started. And I think that it has absolutely been in his benefit to ensure that intelligence got to Hamas to help plot what happened on October the 7th, because the sudden explosion of violence there has taken all of the resources out of the Ukraine. Early next year, Zelensky will finally get all of the next generation heavy weaponry, the jets, the armored tanks and everything. And I think he's going to be left with them and told, you either do something quick with this in the new year or we are out of this altogether. Because the moment, if Trump gets reelected, all it's going to be is Trump calling Putin to say, hey, can we just call an end to this? And Putin going, okay, fine, I'll take what I've got. And so there'll be an intense pressure for ultra violence in the Ukraine. There'll be an intense attempt to try and ratchet up things in the Middle East. If you look at the Americans in the last 48 hours putting together a naval alliance against the Houthi, who have threatened shipping. I mean, this is one of the problems for our economy. We're such a trade-based economy, but many of the trade routes are under threat. Look at what's happening between China and the Philippines right now. So everyone who's got skin in the game is going to try something on before Trump gets elected, because once Trump gets elected, no one knows what the rules are, right?
Yeah.
So you do everything you can to get everything you get and so I think war, I think climate change next year. If you look at some of the global temperatures we had this year, they were 6 sigma outside normal standard deviation. We don't know what that looks like. We're in a completely unplanned area there. And I think refugees from that climate change around the world is going to make a growing problem.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to wrap up in a bit, but Chewy, do you want to pick up off that back of that first? And then if we've got time, you want to talk to 2024, anything to look forward to, anything to wrap the year with today, leave the people watching with? Chewy, Marty, you guys can jump in whatever you want.
Anything less grim than that. Merry Christmas, season greetings, everyone. World's going to hell.
Explode. Yeah.
No, you just ripped the lid on me talking about Ukraine and Gaza. I think we'll fucking park that one for now. Look, right from the start of, like I said when Gaza kicked off, is that we would look back on just the traditional straight lines of a really clear good versus evil fight. It's really easy to pick who we're backing here. The people defending their own country against a massive, much bigger, much tougher country doing fucking war crimes wherever it can. Very easy to pick a side there. Spent all of a nanosecond doing it and just following it from there. And then the next thing is, let's draw focus. Let's draw the news cycle away from that because the offensive is not going very well.
Yeah.
And here's your shit fight. A bunch of absolute murderous bastard terrorists doing monstrous fucking things out of nowhere, or seemingly nowhere. And so the good guy in this, they're the ones bombing hospitals and driving bulldozers over wounded civilians. Once again, very clear cut, very easy to follow. Obviously, your choices of news on this is propaganda or nothing at all. So it's super good. And Putin must be going, well, thank fuck for that. People have stopped focusing on the list of how many tanks we're pulling out of cold storage.
Yeah.
And whether the tanks are older than the people that are driving them. And the answer is not always.
But sure, you forget.
I
but
cheerleading America, going, this is fantastic. This
for
funneled
Ukraine.
so much support to Ukraine. Fantastic. Surely on this one, they'll go the right way. And they parked 2 aircraft carrier battle groups off it. They could have stopped everything, and then they just went, so we're here, we're not going to do anything. Fantastic. They didn't even do the honorable thing of like, well, since we've sailed our carrier battle groups into this part of the Mediterranean, we're just going to blitz them up into the Black Sea and make it really awkward for people. They just did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
But at least people who feel like they're born in the wrong body can't play social tennis anymore. We do have that.
That's fucking solved.
Thanks so, good on the team. Hey, Bomber, you've been a real support this year, mate. Thank you so much for being a part of what we've done. And,
BHN is such an important valve in the New Zealand media psyche, and you guys have had such an incredible year. You've given such insight and oversight to what's going on in New Zealand politics. All power to you. It's great to see you in the podcast charts doing so bloody well with BHN. And I call out to New Zealand on air. If there is media that is worthy sponsoring, who are actually doing the hard yards of journalism and allowing a space where ideas can be challenged and thought through and critiqued, it is BHN. For the love, if there is a God, someone give these guys money.
Look,
Hey, Bomber.
sorry, Pat, just one last
That's
thing.
all right.
As someone that used to listen religiously to late night talkback on Channel Z, I just want to say I love having you involved.
Oh, it's a privilege and a pleasure, gentlemen.
Dude, enjoy the merch. Hopefully you've got your
I
bottom
did.
feeders.
I'm gonna wear it on my first show next year with Luxem. Yeah.
Nice. Very good. Oh, perfect. Perfect.
I look forward to watching Damien Grant explode.
Have an awesome Christmas, man. You're a
You
good
too,
friend.
guys.
We'll
Have a great
talk to you in
Christmas.
2024.
All the whānau. Be well.
All right, dude. All the best. See you. Bye.
Cheers, bud. And just to be clear, Pat, the
Yes.
Damien Grant that I was referring to was the convicted fraudster Damien Grant.
Thank you for that.
I don't want to get that mixed up with any other Damien Grants that are walking through this world innocent of fraud.
Or Gramian dance.
We're talking about a different one.
We are going to open up Discord, and we're pretty much going to what we're going to do now is we're going to just have a bit of a family meeting, talking about how the show's gone this year. I want to share with you guys what's going on. But if you want to jump into Discord, you are more than welcome to. I think if there are some people who want to talk, we might, just keep it on the on the quick side of things. So if you get into Discord, come across here to the waiting room, which is the bottom left-hand side, get yourself in the waiting room. And if you're in there, me and Chewy are going to give you some information about how the show's gone this year. And then we'll take some Discord callers and then we'll be done. So if you want to jump on and say g'day for the last live show of the year, we'd love to hear from you.
What did we decide about as far as what people hear when they're on Discord? They want to mute YouTube.
Turn YouTube off and listen to us. Yeah, listen to us because so turn YouTube down, mute YouTube, and then listen to us, and that should probably work. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Welcome, haere mai, to our family meeting. I wanted to kind of share with you guys where we're at. I wanted to give you some kind of really interesting news as to what you guys have enabled us to do this year. So I'll just show you 3 graphs really, really quickly. Check this out, Joey. So this is views on YouTube, right? Now, obviously compared to, big channels, we're not particularly big, but what I wanted to show you was the trends that we're facing at the moment. That's our views on YouTube. This is our subscriber base on YouTube. We started the year at 2,000. We're this is live count. We're 5 subscribers away from hitting 5,000. So we've gained 3,000 subscribers this weekend. And this is our audio YouTube. You can see up. And this has been the rhythm, or this has been what we've seen happening for this year. I'll give you some numbers. I haven't even given these to Chewy yet, but here you go. So on YouTube, in our first full month, which was February of this year, on YouTube, we did 10,576 views. That was February of this year. The last 28 days on YouTube, we've done 129,669 views.
Hang on, Pat. Let me just check this out. That's more.
It is more. It is more. Don't do that every time. It's going to take a long time if you keep doing that every time. We show video on Twitter quite a lot. It goes on my feed. It was going on Chewy's until he ran away. In February, we had 3,000 views on Twitter for the videos only, video clips. Last 28 days has been 115,800. TikTok, I don't really have any numbers from back in the year because we only kind of started a couple of months ago. But in the last 28 days, we've had 780,000 views on TikTok. Now, if you add up those TikTok views, those Twitter views, and those YouTube views, it's over 1 million views in the last 28 days. So that's where we've gone thanks to you guys. Jesus. And that doesn't include Facebook, Twitch. That doesn't include the audio downloads, those numbers. We're often the #1 podcast in the New Zealand news commentary charts, ahead of News Talk ZB, ahead of MediaWorks, ahead of Spinoff. We've won a podcast award this year. Yes. RNZ, New Zealand Herald, and others have used our content in their stories. In fact, there's more content coming out, and can't really talk too much about this, but we're about to come up in a trial. Someone's using some of our content in a trial to make a point. We're not involved in the trial, but they're using some of our content in a trial to try and make a point. YouTube, we had 2,000 subscribers at the start of the year. We're just about to tick over 5,000. Over 10,000 followers on TikTok. Audio podcast has had 30,000 impressions a month. 175 shows, about 300 hours of live shows, 441 YouTube clips, 421,000 views just this year, 70,000 hours viewed just this year. And that compares to last year. We had 167,000 views in the year. This year it's 421, just YouTube, and 18,000 hours of watching last year. This year, 70,000. So it's been a heck of a ride this year, guys. And you can see that we're on a bit of an upswing, and we're on, thanks to you guys, we're finding our feet. So what's happening from here on in is we're taking 12 shows total off. There will be shows on. They will be available to you. They will be live streaming as you were. They'll be playing out as live at 9 o'clock on the days we would normally show on. So that's not public holidays, not Fridays, not weekends. So Wednesday, Thursday of next week, Wednesday, Thursday of the week after, then Monday to Thursday, and then Monday to Thursday. I went blind today, Chewy, because I made about 50 fucking thumbnails for all the clips that we're going to upload through the time period as well. So there's going to be clips on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok as well. You'll be able to access them. Most of the clips will be clips you've never seen, because what happens is I get to the end of the week and I've done all these clips, and I often have about 10 left over. So I think pretty much all the clips that we'll be uploading you won't have seen before. The audio podcast will still be going through the time period as well from the stuff that we're doing. So we're here, and this is where we've got to as of right now. 1 million views in the last 28 days. You know, lots of YouTubers out there get 1 million views off a single tube, a single actual episode. But the growth that we're seeing in New Zealand, telling New Zealand stories to New Zealanders only, has been really good. If you think about the ecosystem that we're in, the media world, local radio stations that have 10,000 people listening to them. You know, the biggest radio stations in the country have 400,000 to 500,000 people listening to them. You know, so to get 1 million views in 28 days, it ain't bad. It ain't bad. And those of you who have been in touch with us about advertising next year, we've got a plan. If you're someone who wants to get involved with that, it's bighearingnews@gmail.com. And I'm going to be around over summer having conversations with people. But I guess from the bottom of my heart to your hearts, is that a bit weird? Anyway, thanks for being a part of what we're doing. And as for what's happening for all of next year, we don't know yet, but we will be back towards the end of January for a month. And I'm not saying only a month. We're then going to figure out 2024 when we get back. So that's a bunch of information, Chewy. Do you want to answer that? And then we're going to show some of these super chats, because people have been very generous.
Yeah, so while you're talking about that, I was just definitely double checking your working there, and it is a bigger number than what we started with, which is ideal.
Good.
And as a median champion, influencer, leader, I think some people would call me. That's what you want. You want growth. We got growth. We got so much fucking growth.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to two particular channels, other influencers, that sort of thing. Paul, the other one, Spiderhoof, been massively helpful to us as far as pointing out of, hey, have you guys heard about this thing called TikTok? Because I think we both overlooked fucking TikTok, thinking no one's going to go to TikTok for political commentary about our ridiculous little country. And we were fucking wrong. And those two were very, very right.
Yeah. And
they told us at exactly the right time. They drew an enormous amount of eyeballs towards us right before the election.
Yep.
And it's just spiraled out from there. And you kind folks have definitely not been keeping secrets. I'm glad this isn't Fight Club. That you're all talking us up. It's great. And I think the comments that really come through and mean the most to me lately is the people going, thank God I found you guys. Like, it's stopping my doom spiral. It's nice to know that I'm not alone in my thoughts, or that there's somebody that makes me feel like I'm not going fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So thank you to all of you guys. This was only supposed to be a little hobby, and I think it's turned into a lot more than that.
Yep. And like, if we can make it more permanent and full time, we will. Does anyone get the subtle hint here? Do you think, Chewy? Are they picking up on it? Are they picking up what I'm throwing down? Yes, no, maybe. And the other people,
line goes up.
The people I want to thank right now is also our patrons. These guys come on board and they actually put their hands in their pocket and give us money. Gold on Super Patreon Gold, a new one from the last 24 hours. Thank you to everyone who's a part of this and who supports us in this way. It's invaluable. It is absolutely invaluable. And over in the second page, Scamp33 and David Thompson have joined in the last 24 hours as well. So shout out to you guys. And yep, everyone who's purchased merch, it's made a difference. Everyone who's a patron, who, you know, the thing about the patrons is they're with us. Like, so for the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're not going to be doing, we are doing some merch actually, but we're not really doing a lot of that kind of push. So these are the guys that help us pay the internet bill and pay for the stuff that we're not using, like the streaming software, which will be off for a while because we won't be streaming. And we're overall pretty thankful. It's pretty damn cool. Yeah. And thank you to you. I think we should do some of these super chats because some people have been very generous tonight.
They've been sitting there for a little while.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry if people want to see them straight away, but Peter, very generous. Merry Christmas to the Beardies, guests and chat. You've helped me keep an even keel over the past couple of months. Have a safe and happy break, and all the best for your coming year. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, man.
SS, $9. Love what you got. Love what you do, guys. Merry Christmas. Steph as well with a $17 super chat. Thank you very much. That's very generous. Mary Kirahameti, get that right. Pat and Chewy, have a great break. Yep. Frosty Yee. I believe Chris Hipkins intends to stay on for 2026. Do you think he'll be able to beat Luxon, or should they find a new leader? I don't reckon he'll be there in 2026. I actually wondered, Chewy. I thought this today actually, because you know how everyone talks about either in joking or in seriousness, they talk about Kieran McAnulty being the next leader. I wonder if he's been put on breakfast against Chris Bishop to put his face in front of more people to be lined up to be the next leader. I wonder if it's a part of the plan. I just thought about that today.
Yeah, I mean, do we think Chippy, like, I always think to Andrew Little, sort of doing a big self-evaluation, going, I don't have the snuff to win this.
Yep.
And stepping aside for Jacinda, whether this will be a moment, there'll be a moment, say next year, in the next year and a half, where Hipkins goes, okay, party first. Maybe I don't have it. Maybe he's going to find it. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's been prime minister. He's already reached the top. He's never been a prime minister that's won an election, though. Maybe he wants to do that. I don't know. Kiwi Skirt, thanks for the $10. Apparently, this is a late FIFA rate one.
Look at what you've started, Kookie.
Merry Christmas. Gosh, look, they're everywhere. Thank you, guys. You're so generous. Puku by name? Puku by name. Mary Kirahamiti, boys. Always entertaining with interesting conversations. Thank you. Take some time to refresh and come back re-energized. Pumari Whānau. Pumarie Whānau. Another one here from Tiki Petty. Kia ora, guys. Gisborne City asks what do you and Bomber think the left? I've messed that up, haven't I? Gisborne City asks, what do you and Bomber think the left, Te Pāti Māori, the Greens and Labour need to do to strategize and work together? What do they need to do? Well, they just need to do that. They need to strategize and work together. We spoke to Kieran about this, and I said, because we always talk about this, Chewy, that why don't they get together and kind of give the left to the Greens and give the centrist to Labour? And he kind of went, well, it's an interesting idea, but we could never say to the Greens, we're going to have the workers, you can have the environment, and they could never say to us, you can't have the environment, we're going to have, so it's, so I get it, but I think there's better planning that could happen to see a block vote as well. I think it's all about getting people voting still. Like, if the left had voted, the left would have won.
I think the perfect example of that for me was what really turned me off Labour this time round was the Greens bringing out their economic policy and then Labour essentially turning around and poo-pooing it rather than going, hey, there's some good, some of it's a bit too extreme. Some of it seems really good. And sort of using that as a way to move forward rather than it just seemed like Labour kind of turned on them a little bit at that point.
Yeah.
Because Greens was going, look how far we're going, Labour. Come and join us.
Yeah.
And Labour went, nah, fam.
Yeah.
Not doing that. And that's what I think when you're talking about strategizing and that sort of thing. You don't need to give them your homework, but you do need to agree that you're pulling in the same direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I do think you can actually plan together as to how you're going to do it. I think we saw it casually at one of the debates with Deb, Naruopaka, and Marama high five, and you can see they're on the same team.
Yeah.
They're going in the same direction, sort of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks for the $2. Cookie Nick says momentum, and then JC says hit subscribe. Hit subscribe. You 3 unsubscribe people. Yeah, if you're following us right now on YouTube, have a subscribe. We might tick over that little number there. My fault, says Cookie Nick. I was also late today, so yeah. Should we do one refresh before we get out of here? One more refresh, and then we'll just see. And let down. Cool guys, cool bananas. Now we'll go do some quick chats with people on Discord. But just as a reminder, we have got some merch going across the summer break. It is Betty Boy merch, and it's available right now on bhnshop.nz. Black t-shirts with a black logo, yellow t-shirts with a blue logo, and also grey with black and navy blue with white. And I know this is not pressurized, but if you get an order before the end of the show, I will get it on the courier tomorrow because I've got 2 other ones to send out tonight. But obviously, anytime through the summer period, you can get those. There's a 25% off by using the code SUMMER. That'll go right up to when we come back. But obviously, Christmas, Boxing Day, if someone buys in the weekend, it'll take a couple extra days to get you. But that's fine. So bhnshop.nz if you're down for that. Anything else, Chewy, or should we go and talk? Oh, there's more people. Free Soul. Thank you, Free Soul. Very generous. And what are your thoughts on Top and Raf Manji? Well, I think we've pretty much explained all of that. My thoughts were he made a pretty drastic error with, basically saying he'd support anyone. And then he went from saying I'll support no one to I'll support anyone to I'll support National. I just think it was poor planning on his behalf.
Yeah, I think he did that to himself. And I think, unfortunately, as much as I think Top had some potentially good ideas, I think that's the end of Top.
You reckon?
I don't think we'll see them in any meaningful form back at the next election. But hey, there we go.
Unless they get another backer, like how the Conservatives had that guy who liked to sue people, and they originally had Gareth Morgan, and they may get someone on their side, and that could keep it going.
Yeah, someone a bit more relatable, maybe. And the money. But
also just remember, the Greens are the only party, I'm pretty sure, since only new party since I guess Mana got in. I'm just trying to think. Mana's got in on the back of Hone Harawira, but new parties don't seem to get in without a handshake. Like ACT is only there today because of a handshake and a cup of tea in elections gone past. So trying to do it yourself, like who's ever done it? I mean, like you can say Hone Harawira, but then again, he left to Pāti Māori, so he had the profile and he had the area. So I just really think if you don't align with someone and work with them, then it's an almost impossibility. Almost. Should we go try and talk to some people, Chewy?
Yeah, go on.
This is going to be a huge letdown if the technology doesn't work tonight and we just get to go home after this. Okay, I think Aidan has been there pretty much the whole show. Now, just so people know, a couple of minutes each. We won't spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes talking. We'll just have a couple of minutes, say good day, share what you want to share, and then we'll move on. Not to be disrespectful to anyone, but just because we want to give as many people as they want a chance to jump onto our Discord, and we don't want to go to midnight. So, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. We'll give it a go, eh? We'll see if it's working today. There you go, Aidan. You should be able to talk to us now.
Kia ora, lads.
Kia ora.
Mere kere mete.
Yeah, to you too.
Also, just wanted to say a big thank you. I know you're getting enough praise. I just wanted to touch on what Bomber was saying. There's a lot of stuff out there in social media. I feel like more and more people are stuck in their ways. There are some good voices. For example, Spiderhoof, and there's a few others. I follow and see on Twitter. I don't know if they are stopped by this show, but I think this show is another really essential piece of media to, try and get those moral and, or what I believe are moral points across, and just, the pushback. I feel a lot, the movement is getting stronger, and I felt it was really lacking before I found you guys, and you guys and people in the chat give me more hope, and yeah, very bleak, and you guys did that light for me in this bleak time.
Well, thank you, Aidan. That's really nice of you. You have yourself a Merry Christmas, and I'm sure we'll catch you in 2024, eh?
Yeah, cheers. You
All right,
too,
mate.
lads.
All the best. Yeah, no, it's lovely to
Thanks,
hear.
buddy.
Appreciate that. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is the wrong name, but I think this might be Josie. Josie, is it you? Mike, you turn your mic on. There we go.
Sorry. Hi. I was lagging behind. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. All good.
All right. I'm going to do this like really quickly because it's fair enough. Okay, never mind. So this is about the referendum on the treaty that David Seymour put through and is now going towards select committee.
Yep.
And I haven't heard anyone like say this yet, but the issue with that is that because the agreement of the treaty is between the chiefs and the crown, we're not entirely sure whether the King's Parliament is able to basically put forward a motion to either repeal or affirm a constitutional arrangement.
Right.
I think when they were at the negotiating table, someone, again, like take it with a huge pinch of salt here, someone at the negotiating table like mentioned this might cause a constitutional crisis and a whole bunch of things that might happen after that. Like, don't do that. What is within the government's remit is to, again, move it towards interpretation. And even more salt here, this is where it gets fucky and where I go into like the most speculation. The thing is, when you're putting something through select committee, the Speaker of the House appoints the business committee, which appoints the select committee to deal with this particular bill, which is like it's particularly like the Māori and Treaty Settlements select committee, which happens with every government. But the thing is, like during the negotiations, the people that are being appointed Speaker of the House and on the business committee, and that then will appoint the select committee, are basically more or less all around the same table or talking in the same channels.
Yep.
This because those negotiations behind closed doors, this produces a bit of a problem, because if that select committee is a majority of the coalition government, it's basically just able to reach the floor, and because there's a majority of the coalition government on the floor, it'll just go through. And that means like you don't necessarily have to repeal the constitutional arrangement, but you can do the same thing in form and content, like for what you were going to do the Treaty of Waitangi in the first place, you can basically repeal that within the government's remit, as opposed to causing constitutional crisis without doing that. And I'm sounding like remarkably conspiratorial, but I literally think this is what David Seymour's done. And I'm like really worried. Like if it comes to a majority coalition government and the select committee, I'm just assuming they fuck the whole thing. I don't care. Unless they've got like some free radical national guy who's just like, nah, actually I'm gonna not pass it. But I just don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah, so that's my quick blurb.
Yeah, it's a quick blurb indeed. What do you reckon, Chewy?
Yeah, no, it's I'm down for conspiracy at this point. Like we've put up with years of looking at the cookers spitting out just the most brainworms filled conspiracies ever. Now's our time to shine. I'm not kidding about my pegboard on the back wall here. We're gonna move this away. I'm just gonna start.
Believe me, I don't want to sound like this. I don't want to sound like this as a former conspiracy theorist. Like, I do not want to sound like this, but it's remarkably obvious that this could have happened.
Well, yeah. I guess how we find out is that history will tell us. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too much of a bummer and be like, we'll just wait and see. But that's probably some of the answer when it comes to this kind of thing. Thanks, dude. Have a great Christmas. Thank you for giving us a bit of time. Hey, we're going to talk to Carl next, I think, and I think it's fair to say to you that Carl is one of the people who I remember being in the chat for longest.
Oh yes,
like from
absolutely.
almost from the start. Yeah. Hey, Carl, you there, mate? You can hear us?
Hey boys, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going good, man. How long have you been with us for? Because I remember you almost being here before us.
I want to say I found you through the Department of Conversation.
Oh, okay. So
that's how. Yeah. And then you started off BHN, and you were trying to work out where all the times were going, and I tune in for breakfast, and then I tune in for lunch, and now I'm tuning in after dinner after the kids go to bed. So yeah, it's been good. I just want to say, big congratulations. Like you said, I've been here since day dot, and I think you guys are a much needed voice in the New Zealand media landscape. It is quite nice, you just get smashed with a lot of UK political podcasts and US political podcasts, and it's just nice to have something that's really local that speaks to our issues up and down, right? And I describe myself as a full-on lefty to most people who know me. Like, I don't hide my politics. That makes it a lot easier to have conversations. And I love having banter with people who don't agree with me. I find that's quite interesting. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing you say about having banter with people we don't agree with. I'm very much that way inclined as well. But I think the path that I've sort of taken this year, and I might do it next year as well, because like I was saying in Bomber, I think it might get worse before it gets better, is if it's a voice that might be dangerous, like if it's a voice that might have concern, I'm going to always suggest I go on their platform, because it's like, if I can influence their audience, that might be worth doing. If that voice is just going to spread more vile, conspiratorial, that kind of thing, I'll be less interested in hosting it on mine. Now, I do. Chewy will tell you this. I like talking to those kinds of people. Like, I like it. I like talking to them and showing them for what they are. But not that we've chased any of this recently, but I've been thinking about this recently about going on their platforms versus them being on my platform. I'm not sure. I'm still thinking that through. But I like it. I like that kind of confrontation conversation you have with people where you're both toing and froing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an interesting one. Yeah, I think just sort of maybe buttress the last caller, we're heading into our version of Thanksgiving. I like to think of it where, it is a family time, and you are likely to come up against family members who hold alternative quote unquote views. And so it is one of those times where, I find that lefties are a lot more passionate about injustices and things like that, and it can come across as quite preachy. And I remember taking a course where the facilitator was talking about how to deal with the older generation who kind of maybe don't understand and are really set in their ways. And one of the things that stuck out to me and always stuck with me is, you can go at them both barrels, but you will shut them down and you will damage a relationship. Love them for who they are, and then just sort of know that their views are actually starting to fall away. And I won't say die away, because that's really maudlin, but and that sort of really stayed with me. I'm like, oh, okay, that is the more compassionate way, and that kind of shows that you understand where they come from, but you see it in a different way, and that you're not just sort of fear, hate. You're just like, oh, well, how about we talk about the All Blacks? Actually, maybe let's not talk about the All Blacks. Let's talk about the Black Caps, or whatever it is. And I think that's probably a better way to people. I know that's what I'll be taking, and I'm going to spend time with my in-laws who hold different views, and I love them all the same. But you don't want to come across as preachy, and I'm always aware now that sometimes that's how people who hold our views and our political persuasions can come across. So
I hear you, and I'm saying cheers to you. I've cracked a Zephyr apple cider. I think this is the night for it, Chewy. That's what I'm having at the moment. Hey, Carl, thanks for being a part.
Run to the kitchen.
Especially, maybe someone will bring one to you if they're watching. Hey, Carl, thanks for being a part of what we're doing. Thanks for being in the chat there, and always see your comments, and you add to our content. So everyone does, but it's just Carl's been here. Yeah, it feels like since the start, mate. So we appreciate that, dude, and have yourself a good break and a good Christmas, and we'll catch you in 2024.
No worries, boys. Have a good one.
You too, eh?
Merry Christmas and all that.
We've got a couple more people. Let's just do 2 more, Chewy, and then we'll cut. We'll cut out of here.
Or tangent. Wildly
No.
tangent.
No, we won't. No, we won't. How about Paula? Paula, come into Mothership, Paula. Hello there. That's you, Paula. I saw you turned your mic off. I can't hear you yet.
Keeping secrets.
Keeping secrets from us. Roll. Mike's just being muted again. I can see. Look, see down here. Got muted. Is it unmuted? This is building the pressure now. Oh, and gone. That wasn't me, by the way. All right, we'll say good day to Frosty then. And then we might have to give Paula one more shot, and then if it doesn't work, we'll call it a night and call it a year. Gosh, that's a bit sad, isn't it? Frosty, you there?
Kia ora, fellas.
Kia ora. The snowman. Are you Frosty the snowman?
Hopefully. I had something I wanted to say, but unfortunately, it's just left my head. So instead of saying what I was going to say, I'm just going to thank you guys for hosting this show, because it does feel like, out in the world of the online world, it does feel like you're alone, because you see shows like The Platform, and that other conspiracy radio show, I can't remember what it's called, Reality Radio or something like that, and it's like, you think you're insane, you think your beliefs aren't right, and then you guys come along, and not only do you guys not just have a echo chamber of people with the same beliefs as you guys will allow other people who may not share the same beliefs, maybe on the complete other side of the political spectrum as you, and let them have a voice as well without interjecting or berating or just being rude to them. And I just would like to thank you guys for being such good hosts and such good people.
I think
you are, of course, referring to the Plunkett effect.
But that does have its pros and its cons. From someone who's worked in the media for a long time and done talkback and done that kind of stuff, jumping in and cutting in and making those things can sometimes have a conversation be more snappy. But we've sort of just decided this is what I tell people who are coming on for the first time. I say we try and just talk until the topic is finished. That's what we try and do. And that's why sometimes you might have noticed this. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes we do an hour show and it runs a little bit long, just occasionally, not very often.
Occasionally.
And we've made that decision. And I know that probably means some of the interviews or conversations can get a little ponderous at times. But I think if it's an opportunity between being at times a little ponderous or cutting short and over talking someone, I'll just go. Because I can edit the ponderousness out when I'm making clips, you see.
Yeah. So, it's really good that this show is an echo chamber for shitty ideas and racist ideas and stuff.
Well, there might be some dumb ideas from time to time. Hopefully not racist or shitty.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Hey, well, thank you for jumping in tonight. Lovely to
speak
to you.
Fellas.
Have a good break. Have a good Christmas, and we'll probably catch you in 2024. Let's try Paula one more time, see if she's got her mic sorted out. Paula, you with us? Oh dear. Oh, yes.
Tēnā kōrua, how you doing?
Yeah, we've got you. Yeah, we're good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I apologise for the mute on, mute off situation. I don't know what that's about.
All good.
Hi.
You're here.
You had an earlier caller earlier who asked a question about the treaty. I just thought I might have a few answers on that one.
Go for it.
Cool. Now, and he was wondering about who the actual partners are. Was actually the guts of what he was saying, and who has the right to even raise the question of having a discussion about the treaty. And he makes a good point. So even on the document itself, it says that the government is not the treaty partner. So they're not in a position constitutionally at all to even raise the issue about whether we have it or not. They are not the treaty partner. David Seymour certainly is not the treaty partner. Named in the treaty partner is Ngā Rangatira and Ngā Hapu, that's one partner. The other one is the Governor General, and that's a full stop.
Yeah, interesting.
It's the Governor General. So this is Auntie Cindy.
Yeah.
And he raised the process of the select committee. So he's correct. We have all this conversation, get to select committee, they have all the readings, it'll get through the third reading, but it still has to be signed off by the Governor General. Every legislation gets the Governor General's signature on it. One of the issues is every legislation that's been to that process hasn't had the other partner on to sign them either. That would be an equal partnership, a true participation. So I don't know. See, even Helen Clark wouldn't have tried to pull this game because it's just not in a position constitutionally. Now, Māori know this. And so there might not be much Māori noise coming from Māori leadership at the moment, but noise is being made. But it'll go directly to the Governor General to have that conversation.
Yeah.
See, this is the interesting, and it's interesting stuff. It's good stuff. And I'm really saddened about the education policies coming out, and we're likely to use all the work gained from histories in New Zealand schools. Because this is where you would learn it. This is where we would understand what our country is and how we work together. But I don't know, our government, our current coalition of chaos is. But we needed to test it, right? At some point, this needed to be tested, and I guess it's about to be. I think the next few months, right up until Waitangi Day, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be, and we're coming back towards the end of January, so maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not sure the exact date before Waitangi Day. So I'm sure, because I mean, we do look at this as a product in the media, and because I'm a little bit of a control freak, I'm like, oh, how can I stop doing this? What if our numbers drop? But I just think Waitangi Day, Ratana, I think we're going to be fine. I think people will be looking for some outlets. So I think we'll be all good.
That's right. I've never been to the Waitangi Day celebrations myself. So, yeah.
Paula, you've been a find this year. Thank you for being part of what we do. We really appreciate you when you call in, mate. It's been amazing.
My husband and I love it here. It's our comfort couch time. So
nice.
Blessings to you both. Keep up the good work and stay gold.
Thanks, mate. And listen, if you need us whilst the holidays are on, there are going to be shows being shown at 9 o'clock on the nights that we would normally be broadcasting. They just won't be live, but they will be as live. Like they'll be still streaming at 9 p.m. if people want to check out what they are. Oh, well, Chewy, I think that's about us. There's a bunch of chats in there that you've started. Is there anything you want to get to before we say good night, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye?
Oh, let's see. Now, I gave a shout out to Paul, the other one, earlier. He has replied, cheers for the hard mahi this year, guys. It's been a long one. It's great to see people responding to the work that you're doing. Congrats on the 5K. He's, of course, talking about subscribers, not the distance that I can run, which is not 5K. We have a comment here from Lee. Found you boys in February. Me and the other half have been at nearly every single live show or watched the next day. Thank you for the mystery comment.
Oh, let's play this game. It's like a Theatre Swans game. Thank you for the
lovely gift basket.
I was going to say erection, but I don't know. Maybe you're better. Maybe
we're going in two different directions.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Frodo, are we still number 1 in Swaziland? Just asking the tough question.
No, we're not. We're at number 3 or 7 or something like that. But no, but we were.
Now, look, being a prominent half of BHN, sometimes I'm a target for bullying. And I don't like to highlight the negatives, but for saying that Chewy's as good with numbers as Nicola Willis is harmful digital communications, and I will be reporting it.
Report that one. Yeah, you're done. Yeah, ban, block.
Absolutely. We didn't put up this question, but I'm going to put it up now. A question for Bomber. Have you ever wanted to slap Damien across the face?
Bomber's a really interesting cat because he says that he loves Damien. They have that kind of deep friendship, but he disagrees with absolutely everything he's got to say. I'm not entirely sure I know how to do that, but I guess you think about sort of in the 1960s, I think about the American model, people would always say, a Democrat and a Republican, we leave the politics at the door and we can be good friends. So maybe Bomber's onto something that the rest of us struggle with. Maybe the idea of being able to have good, solid relationships with people we vehemently disagree with is the only way forward when we keep talking about the division and stuff that we've got. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I stuff like that makes me think of a guy that I used to know.
Sounds like a song.
I used to
Somebody that you used to know. Sorry.
I used to play video games with him, and he was a very interesting cat. We would get on like a house on fire. We'd play video games together in a group, basically most nights of the week. From what I gathered from the things that he'd mentioned, he was a little bit older than me. He had done very well in the stock market. He used to be air crew for Air New Zealand and had just been smart with his money, made it grow, independently wealthy by the time that I knew him, and he just played video games. Now, we were at complete polar opposites of the political scale. He believed that the path that he would walk was somehow open, to everyone. And the only reason that you couldn't do exactly what he'd done is through laziness or lack of drive. I had a very different view that sometimes the world is stacked against you from the get-go.
Yeah.
Now, we used to be cats and dogs on our forums. There'd be times where I would block him. There'd be times that he would block me. We'd call each other the worst names. And then when we got together once a year, in real life, and we would just talk about this stuff face to face, and the venom went out of it. We would still disagree.
Yeah.
But it was more of the verbal to and fro. And what Carl was saying about, people meeting up with family members that may not agree with the way that you do, it's very different face to face. And I think, especially in the last couple of years, where so much of the discussion has been on Facebook, on Twitter, on messaging services, and that sort of thing, the skill of talking people and trying to convince them over to your way of thinking, or at least illustrating why you think the way you think, without someone blocking you, without you just raging out and calling them a fascist, or they call you a fucking soy boy neckbeard cuck. I think that's COVID's broken our brains, man. It really has. Like, people have lost their art of having these conversations, and I hope that in some way we kind of hopefully doing it. There's always going to be the temptation to go, fuck this, fuck you, fuck this conversation. There's no point in discussing it with you because nobody's going to win. You can't do that with family, or if you do, it's really fucking ugly. So sometimes, look, go outside, do some push-ups. Think of a new line of attack and come back in, rather than flinging Christmas dinner at Uncle Dave, who's been radicalized on Telegram.
You mean racist Uncle Bob from Nelson? That's the example.
Who just really lost his shit when Jacinda told him to be nice to people. It just broke him. You got to get through it. You got to get through it. This time of year is tough enough for so many reasons. And look, if those sort of discussions make it harder, look, there's no shame in not having them. There's no shame in taking an easier path and going, I'm not going to fucking set off a nuclear hand grenade at this family gathering. Just move on. Even if someone baits you. Let's talk about the election. No, let's talk about Lord of the Rings. Man, these sausages are good. Just change the subject, move on.
I feel like, Chewy, this is a great place for us to finish, because I'm sure everyone in the chat will agree with me. To finish on a bit of a Chewy rant, what an absolute beautiful way to wrap up the year of live broadcasts for Big Hairy News.
Yeah.
So Kookie's saying XT question mark. I'm wondering if that's asking you about playing games online. Is that what it is? I'm not sure.
No,
XT?
no, Kookie. It was Neil. I can't remember his gamer tag, but it was Neil. He had that mansion on the North Shore.
Bastard. Rich prick. All right.
Yeah.
Hey,
absolutely.
It's been a blast this year, guys. Thank you so much for everyone being involved. Some people have decided to buy some merch during the show, so I will get off the live stream and I will go and package that up and book it in the courier, and it'll get picked up tomorrow. Other than that, Chew, I don't know if there's too much else to add other than the pencil plan I've got to come back is 22nd of January. I know, Chewy, you're getting back from America around that time, so you may not be around for that. Well, it doesn't matter today. It doesn't matter. We don't need to figure that out.
Yeah.
But
I think I land back in the country on the 28th, but
yeah, so
we will keep you posted.
Yeah, so we're planning on coming back on the 22nd. Well, I'm planning on being here, probably by myself, crying a lot. And the other thing, I guess, as the Wookiee leaves the room, is that
that's for a spin. That was my spin.
The other thing is, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow on Twitter, because if anything massive happens over this break, like big news, my plans for the holiday is to pull up carpet and paint walls, which means I'm still in the house where my studio is. So if anything big happens, there's nothing stopping me, or if Chewy's still in New Zealand, us jumping in and doing a little thing here and there. So subscribe to us on YouTube, and if you ring the notification bell, then you'll know if we're going live and when we're going live. And follow me on Twitter as well, just at Pat Brittenden. And yeah, I think that's us.
Yep,
I think that's us.
I just put up links to my social media on the new social media platforms if you want to follow what I'm up to over my break.
Did I just see you like something on Twitter?
I did, because it was big. We got retweeted out by Lucy Lawless. I don't participate in Twitter anymore. I can keep my eye on what's going on.
All right. Angie loves this shirt. The problem is, Angie, no one listened to us, because it still makes it true, because that was where the people who didn't vote came from. They came from the left. All right, guys, love you to bits. Genuinely thanks from the bottom of my heart for being involved for this year. We will be with you in spirit over the next wee while. We will have content for you over the next wee while, and we'll see you again live towards the end of January for more BHN. Thank you, guys. Wish you the best. Merry Christmas. Stay safe over the holiday period. If you're driving on New Zealand roads, be incredibly careful, because we want to see all of you back here and all of your whānau back here when we come back to have another crack at Big Hero News for 2024. All right. Love you to bits. See you. Bye.
Cheers, fam. You're all the real ones.